In this video, we're covering the difference between UI and UX design and why it matters when you're trying to build a website. Hey, what's going on? My name is Mark Terribly, and I'm all about achieving financial independence through real estate investing and online business. So if you're new to the channel and you're looking to achieve financial freedom for yourself, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below and you will not miss a thing. So if you're new to design, or if you're looking to hire a designer, you may have come across the term UI, UX designer. And what this stands for is user interface designer and user experience designer. And they are closely related, but they're actually different disciplines. And I kind of want to go over the difference between the two so you get a better understanding of how they're different and how they kind of interweave together. So we'll start with user experience design, and I'll be referencing my notes here as we go through this. But according to the Oxford Journal, user experience design is the goal of user experience design in industry is to improve customer satisfaction and loyalty through the utility, ease of use, and pleasure provided in the interaction with a product. And so basically what that means, it's useful, easy, and pleasant to use the product. And this can apply to any product, not just digitally, but anything. It can be like a chair that you sit in. It could be a remote control. It could be a microwave. It could be almost anything, like anything that you would pick up and use for some purpose. It has some kind of user experience design to it to make it easy to use. So that's basically what user experience is kind of based in. But the term is mostly used these days with digital products. And the best way I can kind of communicate this is if you've ever used an Apple product. If you pick up an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac or something and you try and use it, like it's very easy to use. You see kids can just pick up the phones and just start doing all kinds of stuff because it's so intuitive and easy to use. It's because Apple has put a ton of research into their products and make them very easy to use. Even their packaging, when you purchase a Apple product, you open the box, and it's like an experience in itself, and it's really cool. They do that through the entire product, so it's just a very awesome experience. So that's more user experience focused. It's the experience of using the product. And if you're looking for skills in this particular field, their skills are going to be user research, so you need to understand your customer base really well, do a lot of research. Information architecture, that means you have a website and you need to structure the content in a certain way that makes sense. So you're going to have like a drop-down menu, but you're going to need like a top category and then maybe subcategories under that. So you have to structure things in a way that makes sense to the user. Wireframing is another one. That's where you kind of like mock up what a website could look like with simple boxes and X's and circles and like text blurbs and stuff. So like really, really simple design, but it kind of gets things started in the right direction. Prototyping, like really basic prototyping. I remember in the past I've done it where you would draw out an interface like on a piece of paper, and you draw other things like on another piece of paper and cut them out. Like if there was a pop-up window, you could literally like take a piece of paper and drop it on top of that one and use that as a prototype. You could have someone use the interface and ask them, what would you click on? And they click on something and you can drop a piece of paper on top of that to show like this is the pop-up you would see. It's very, very basic, but it's the fastest way to make iterations without actually like creating this whole huge project and then like understanding or realizing that it doesn't work very well. You can do this really quickly in the wireframing prototyping kind of stage. Another one is user flows. So a user flow is basically you get to a website and you want them to accomplish something. You want them to purchase your product or read an article or whatever it may be. There's a certain flow that people have to go through to achieve that end result. So, they click this button and it goes to this page, and then they put in their information, they click the next button and it goes to this page. So that flow of how people move through your pages is basically user flows. And then finally, another one here is user testing. So once your product is done, and I shouldn't say done because this happens throughout the entire design process, you're going to be testing, user testing constantly. You're going to be testing early and often. So be testing the entire time with users to get the feedback and make improvements incrementally as things move along. But user testing is very important. So that's kind of what user experience is, the skill sets that you need for that particular line of work. And now we'll kind of move into UI design. And like I said, it stands for user interface design. And Wikipedia's definition here is user interface design is the process of building interfaces that are aesthetically pleasing. The goal of user interface design is to make the user's interaction as simple and efficient as possible in terms of accomplishing a user's goal. So UI design is more focused on the visual aspects of design. And this is kind of tied into UX because UX is the experience and the visual aspect of your design ties in with that experience. If you have, this website that has great structure and great menus and everything works, like it's usable, but the experience won't be like quite as nice if you don't have like a nice like designed website. If it's designed poorly, it's not going to be that great of an experience. So it just adds to that level of the experience of using the product, basically. So the tools or the knowledge that a user interface designer will need is typography, so choosing fonts and font weights and things of that, and hierarchy of the fonts. There's going to be colors of the brand that you're building on, so matching colors and then be consistent with those colors, which leads to the third one I have here is consistency. You need to have consistency across your entire website. If you're using different fonts randomly on different pages and different colors and stuff, it's just going to look inconsistent and not professional. So consistency is a huge one. Spacing is another one. So people don't really think about it, but white space is very important in web design. You don't want to cram everything into a given space because it becomes quickly overwhelming and just cluttered, and people can't really focus on one thing in particular because there's just too much stuff. So adding a lot of white space helps it breathe, helps people kind of digest the content. So that's very important. You will also be designing the interactions. So when you go to a website and you kind of put your cursor over a button and it kind of like pops up or changes color, or you click on something and a modal pops up, like any of these kind of interactive elements of a website are designed by the visual designer as well. Which ties into the next one I have here is animations. So if there's any kind of animations to the website, like I said, if there's like a pop-up effect, or you hover and then like there's a drop shadow that's added to kind of give a 3D effect, anything like that, any kind of animation, small animations would be the UI designer's responsibility to specify. The next one I have here is prototyping, and this is going to be a more refined prototype than UX. UX, I was talking about like the paper prototypes. When you're doing UI design, you can actually do digital ones without actually building out the entire product with code and everything. You can do it on like design programs, and you can make it so you click something and then you can go to a different page, or you can scroll stuff. So there's like all these cool little prototypes you can build to get a feel of what the website or the application will function, basically. And then from there you can do further testing to see how users respond and see if they like it, or if there's issues, then you can go in and fix it before you actually code it, because that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to create this isolated design and then build it all out in code and then release it and realize, oh, there's a lot of issues. People don't understand how this thing works and there's a lot of problems, because then you have to go back and change all the code, and that's very expensive and time consuming. So if you can do all that up front, you can have a much more successful launch. So a quick way to kind of describe the two, or the difference between the two, is think of like a sports car. And think of a sports car just like parked in the showroom. It's like beautiful. It's sitting there, the paint's beautiful. You open the car and there's like really nice leather seats and really intricate stitching and a lot of electronics, just really sleek, really cool looking, and very flashy. And that would be more of the UI experience. It's like everything looks aesthetically like awesome. The wheels are great, the lines of the car, like everything, it just looks awesome. But you need the experience for it to be like a complete product. So basically, you can enjoy the aesthetics of it, but you need to experience it. And that experience is hopping in the front seat, the driver's seat, and going for a ride. And that's good. And you're gonna, you know, you put your pedal down, you're gonna feel the acceleration. You're gonna hear the sound of the exhausts. You're gonna be able to mess with the electronics and just get the full experience of driving this car. And those two together is basically kind of like UI, UX. You're getting the full experience of driving this car, and then it also looks really nice and is aesthetically pleasing. So it's those two things together that make a great product, basically. So in my experience, you won't usually see UI, UX split up unless you're in a very large company that can afford to hire specialized employees. And so usually what you see is people that have the skill set of both. So I have experience in both, and that's and I pull from both skill sets, and I use them almost pretty much on a constant daily basis. So having both of the skill sets for both of those fields is very important. So you're able to build like a effective website that looks good, basically, to accomplish the goals that you need. And if you're looking to hire somebody to do this for you, you want to make sure that they have both skill sets, because you need the website to look nice, but you also need it to function well. You can hire people to make beautiful websites, but they have no clue what they're doing as far as like setting up a good user flows, information architecture, and just basically building a successful product, basically. And so you need both of those together to ultimately build a successful website or application or product or anything, really. So, but basically this all comes down to focusing on the user. You want to build the best experience you can for the user, and then basically have a successful product at that point. So that about covers it. That's the difference between UI, UX, and how they kind of intertwine with each other and build great products. So if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.